Hello, glad y'all stopped by because today we're taking a classic Southern coconut cake and giving it a Citified twist by toasting the coconut and adding a punch of lime. For the base recipe, I'm going to be using arguably one of the most famous coconut cakes there is. This is Good Looking Cooking, a recipe book that Dolly Parton did with her sister Rachel Parton. And this is Dolly Parton's coconut cake. And it looks a lot like the coconut cake my mom made when I was growing up. It was always a special occasion cake. It has a special place in my heart. But I wanted to just try to fancy it up a bit. Two things. The toasted coconut, what that's going to do is improve the texture of the shredded coconut from a bag. That bagged pre-shredded coconut can be a little bit tough to chew, and some people don't like it for that reason. So I wanted to overcome that by toasting the coconut, which will give it more of a crispy texture, so it kind of shatters in the mouth rather than being a tough chew. Southern coconut cakes can also be a little bit too sweet for some people. So I wanted to try to cut that sweetness a little bit with the acidity from the lime and just give it a nice brighter flavor. And it's also a little bit more flavor complexity along with the toasted nutty flavor from the toasted coconut. To get started, I toasted some coconut. So I just took 2 cups of sweetened shredded coconut, spread that out into a baking pan and put it into a 350-degree oven, cooked it for 5 minutes, pulled it out, gave it a look, and tossed it around a bit, then put it back in for 2 minutes. After that 2 minutes, I came out, checked it to see if it was toasted enough. You just got to watch this very carefully when you're toasting it because it can go from deliciously toasted to burnt to a crisp in about 5 seconds. It's worse than frozen pizza that way. Before I put the coconut in the oven, I did take 3 limes and evenly zest them across the top of it. During my testing, I figured out that that was the best way to evenly disperse lime zest throughout the cake and the frosting. And while the coconut was toasting, I juiced those 3 limes. With the coconut toasted, the limes zested and juiced, and the oven preheated to 350, I greased and floured a 13x9 baking dish. Now we're starting with a 15.9 ounce box of white cake mix. If you can't find a 15.9 ounce box, you're not alone. The sizes are all over the map these days. So what you're going to do is just use whichever box you prefer, what's on sale, whatever fits your dietary or flavor requirements. And you're going to substitute out the eggs, water, and oil in this recipe and use whatever is on the back of your box. Into this, we're putting 1 cup of water, 1/3 cup of vegetable oil, 3 eggs, and I'm actually using a liquid egg replacer for this because eggs are so expensive right now and I'm just trying to save a little bit of money. And finally, we got a teaspoon of coconut extract. I'm mixing this together gently by hand just to get all the flour and everything incorporated together a little bit. Then we're going to beat it with an electric mixer for 2 minutes. Oh, look what you've done, Rip King Pony Girl. You dance at the club. After this is all mixed together, you take half of your toasted coconut and fold it into the batter. Then it's into the 13x9 baking pan. Now this is going into the oven for 30 to 35 minutes until it's done. Easy peasy, right? There was nothing difficult at all. And the coconut extract, the toasted coconut, and the lime zest is really going to elevate the flavor and the texture of the boxed cake mix. While that's baking, we can make a milk to soak the finished cake with. We're going to start with 1 cup of cream of coconut. I use this coconut cream because it does not have the sugar. It has the coconut solid, the coconut water, and guar gum, but there's no additional sugar, and that will help bring down the sweetness of this cake a little bit. Into this, we're going to put 1/2 cup of whole milk. We're putting half the lime juice into this part too. And then we'll just whisk this together and set it to the side, and we will soak the cake with this when it comes out of the oven. Now we're going to make the frosting, starting with 1 stick of butter at room temp, and we're going to whip this with the beater until it is nice, light, and fluffy. Once that is whipped up nice and fluffy, we're going to take 1/3 cup of the coconut milk, mixed with the remaining lime juice, and 2 cups of powdered sugar. And we're going to add these alternately. I like to start by adding just a little bit of powdered sugar, starting off nice and gentle so the powdered sugar doesn't blow up everywhere. Once that first little bit of powdered sugar is incorporated, we're just going to add a little bit of the coconut milk and lime juice. And we're just going to alternate, adding one after the other until they're all incorporated. You do want to try to finish on the powdered sugar just to help dry up the end of the liquid. We're trying to be careful not to break it. You'll start to see the frosting look separated if there's too much liquid incorporated too fast. That's what we're trying to avoid. There we go. It's nice and silky and fluffy. Depending on how much lime juice you added, you might have to add a little bit more powdered sugar to dry it out. Now we're just going to take this frosting, cover it, and put it in the refrigerator while the cake finishes baking and cooling. The cake is done when a toothpick inserted to the center comes out clean. It took me just a little bit past 25 minutes to get mine done. Then you want to turn this onto a cooling rack. We're going to let this cool for about 10 minutes. When it is at the point where it has cooled some, but not all the way, we're going to soak it with the mixture we made of lime juice, coconut cream, and whole milk. It's cooled down, I would say about 2/3 down at this point. So let's get to poking and soaking here. Okay, holes poked, and I tried to not tear it up too much. It's going to be okay because we got frosting going over this, so it's all right if it looks a little bit messy. And now let's soak it. Okay, we're going to let the cake cool off and let all the liquid soak in. Now it's time to frost this. We're going to take out the frosting that we made earlier and re-whip it. I'm starting with taking about 1/3 of the frosting with the spatula, and I'm just going to spread that evenly over. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't tear up any of the cake and get it into the frosting. If you do accidentally tear up the cake and get some crumbs in this frosting layer, not the end of the world. We're going to be putting shredded coconut on this, and that will hide a multitude of sins. Now we're just spreading the rest of the frosting out. So this is a very soft sheet cake frosting. I wouldn't try to frost a layer cake with it. It just wouldn't hold up. Then we're just going to evenly distribute the toasted coconut. This frosting is fairly wet and soft to begin with, but once you add all of this dried coconut on top, they start melting together and some real magic happens. I really like the color of the lime zest mixed in with the toasted coconut. It gives a little bit of visual interest and lets people know, hey, there's something interesting going on with this cake. It's not just coconut. At this point, we want to refrigerate this for at least 1 hour before we serve it. And after it has rested in the refrigerator for at least 1 hour, time to taste. Just gonna go right in and cut myself a little corner piece here. That looks like a delicious piece of cake. All right, we're going in, getting a nice big bite. Actually, very, very good. It's just really an excellent balance of textures and flavors. There's soft, pillowy white cake and almost pudding-like edge to it that has a nice hint of lime and a creaminess. There is a frosting that just melts in your mouth, and there's a delicious toasted coconut that just sort of shatters and crunches as you eat it. It's not overly fibrous, and infused through that frosting and the shredded coconut is more lime flavor. Most of the sweetness is coming from the frosting with that 2 cups of powdered sugar, but the acidity from the lime and the creaminess from the coconut really help cut through that, and the toastiness of the toasted coconut flakes really bring it down and balance it out. So you can eat a piece of this and feel like you get a lot of flavor, a lot of texture, but it doesn't feel too heavy, too cloying. This is definitely going to be my go-to coconut cake recipe from now on. This lime and toasted coconut cake looks amazing, it tastes amazing, and it is not very difficult or expensive to make. So as a thank you to those of you who have stuck around and watched the whole video, I'm going to give you a little trick for saving leftover cake in the freezer. I'm just taking parchment paper and I'm going to cut a couple little squares out. You just want this big enough to wrap around the slice of cake. So I'm cutting another piece of cake here, and I made a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. I'm just going to put that cake in the middle of the parchment paper, messy bits and all. Then I'm going to wrap it up in the parchment paper and then stick this into a quart-sized freezer bag. I'll go through and repeat the process with as much of the cake as I'd like to save, and I will have lime and toasted coconut cake whenever I want. I just pull it out of the freezer, let it defrost for 30 minutes, and it's good to go. If you have liked this video, please give it a like. It helps more than you can know. If you want to see more, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the future. Are you going to help me clean up, Pearl? Excuse you. It's not yours. Say goodbye to the camera. Bye-bye.